Copyright 2017 Win Your Brand. All rights reserved. This video is subject to copyright owned by Win Your Brand. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this video is expressly prohibited, unless Win Your Brand has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.
Okay, so what we want to talk about today is as part of the plan to launch a product, I want to share what about website and social media presence. Okay, so the question is why do we need to have a website? And why is the website? Why is not Wix? Why is not, or what is the limitations around WebEx and Wix and different websites? Why do we need to have a website? What we start to see now, we start to visualize a trend where people will search online for anything. That's right. So when people search online for anything, we will need to have a presence on this online space. Make sense?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So what I want to do today is I want to come back with a plan because we are in the 90 days for launching a new product. If you are following the plan from early this quarter, so I want to just position it like where the website will be, what can I do, and how can be safe. So what is the goal of a website?
Well, have a presence, but also to attract names, get a list.
To attract lead, or to
Attract
generate
leads, yeah.
or to generate lead. And what other uses or what other goals for websites?
Well, I do have people signing up on the website.
So it can also be used. What do you mean signing up?
They sign up they sign up and pay for a workshop.
Yeah, so you can also use it for selling. That's right?
Yeah.
What other use for the website? So what other uses for the website? So you need to have a presence.
Mm-hmm.
You need to attract or generate leads. That's right. Selling product. What else?
Mike.
I'm sorry. That's good. What about delivery? Do you want to deliver your programs through the website?
I can't, but
You can, right? So it could be, right?
yeah.
So here we talk about delivery of a program. What could be also the use for so the website can be a presence, can be attract leads, can be used for selling, can use for delivery of a program. What other use for it, for the website?
Good morning.
Hey, good
Morning.
morning.
How are you?
Good.
Quite a while, yeah?
Yes, how you doing?
Oh, good.
Good, good.
How are you doing?
So Yasser, the question is, what is the goal of our website? So we have here presence, having attract, generate lead, selling. The fourth one is delivery of a program. What could be the other goals for our website?
Authority?
Authority is part of presence.
Okay. Credibility?
Part of presence, right?
Okay, there is no more.
No, there are more. There are at least two more.
Is there?
Yeah.
You're just gonna add it to the top one, aren't you?
I can use it as a communication tool.
That's presence.
No, communication tools mean I communicate with my customers and I get their feedback. Presence means
Okay, it's not selling then? Communication tool?
if you collect their feedback, is not selling.
Okay.
If you use it for surveys, it's not selling.
Okay.
Do you agree survey is different? If I run a survey,
Sure.
it's different.
Sure.
And the big, so what is the other use for it? Inventory. I can use it to store my material. Okay. And the best use for website as inventory is with Yasser, because his website till now is inventory of all digital media we created.
We communicate through it now.
Any other use for his website?
Could be also part of managing my contacts, looking at
Do you agree that this is attract and generate leads?
yeah.
Do you agree? What else? Do you have any other ones? So if we don't have any for now, we can come back and add the goals for the website. So the whole day today, I will share with you and we'll share together what could be done on the website and how this can be related to the social media for marketing and presence, and what are different tools we may need or not need for doing different functionals. Okay? Be useful today?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the question will be is where should I host a website? So in hosting websites, there are different levels of hosting. There is an online hosting which can be free, and there is a WordPress or hosting, and the third one, it can be a website space or an online space. They call this managed, and this is can be unmanaged hosting. Okay. So what examples of an online hosting free? Weebly, Wix, and there are more expensive more expensive hostings where they give you specific managed tool to host your website. Okay. The other part, I can do it on WordPress.org or .com, which I can pay money. And the third one, which I can do it on a private WordPress space, where I will install what we call it CMS, or content management system. What are the pros and cons of each one of these? So what is the pros and cons of Weebly, Wix models? The pros are, it's easy, that's right. It's supposed to be anybody can do it and everybody can do it, that's right. What are the cons? What are the problems of Wix Weebly versions?
How about Google? Does Google have a priority over WordPress?
Google has a priority over WordPress, and this is what we justify why WordPress is the best route. However, there is Joomla, there is Doorbell, there is like six different very known CMS. So in terms of CMS, if you want to talk about what kind of content management, we always recommend WordPress. Okay? Because WordPress and Google, there are so many plugins for Google to communicate with WordPress. And Google loves WordPress because it's basically a data generation point. But the question now is, what are the problem of the managed spaces? So if you want to install an LMS system or learning management system, so if we discuss, okay, can we do delivery for a program? So can I install a learning management system so I can put my courses online? You will find out that getting this LMS and other extensions are not available usually within this space. Okay?
And CMS as well.
They will have a version of the CMS which is tailored to their platform. So you cannot install everything. You cannot do much there because you can do specific tasks, but if you want to do something beyond that, it will become an issue. Okay? What about hosting on WordPress.org or WordPress.com?
Maybe just it's basic stuff, but I'm always get confused between domains, hosting, all this
Okay.
hierarchy on what's the difference.
I will explain.
Where do we have a choice? Where we don't have a choice?
I will explain. I'll explain it in a minute. Not a big deal. So what about hosting it on WordPress or hosting on WordPress.com or .org? It comes the same problem. That's WordPress and .com. It's known for bloggers. However, if you try to make training material or exchange information data on it, it will not give you a good control on it, because they are also limited to the extensions which people are using it. That is not unlimited extension. The third one, which is unlimited, like just the disk space and you manage everything, it gives you better access and better control. But what is the downside of it? It needs labor and it needs more effort to create it. So you may end up having a webmaster independent of what you do. Okay, so if I go to what is the biggest website? GoDaddy. If I GoDaddy has a managed tools, and GoDaddy can also have what? An unmanaged part. So when you go to GoDaddy and use their interface to build the website, you are putting yourself here. You have to make sure that somebody create a program which is similar to yours on these tools, because eventually what will happen, you will find a small plugin for like PayPal or a small plugin for like managing membership in specific ways. It will not be compatible, and then you have to regenerate the whole website. While here, the downside of this is what? So the downside of this is you may run into technical problems. However, the technical problems may cost time and money, but they are solvable because this is just an open space. It's exactly when you go and buy, let's call it, if you go and buy a cake mix. Each one of us did a cake once in his life, that's right? So you can go buy a cake mix. That's right, you can go buy a bag of a cake mix. A box has a cake mix in it, that's right? Or I can go and make the cake from what?
Scratch.
Which means what? Flour, which I can do additive to the flour to make it suitable for cake. That's right? So if I go and buy a cake mix and I decided on my way back that I want to do something else other than this cake, the cake mix will not work. That's right? It's along this line. So this is here the cake mix. This is here the flour,
All the ingredients.
the flour root, which is raw ingredient. I'm not talking about getting the wheat and start from the wheat level.
No, the ingredients, the raw material,
The
which
raw-
gives maximum flexibility to do whatever I want.
However, the downside
But then,
is
yeah, it's gonna cost much, maybe more time. I have to administer the whole process. I have to plan for it.
yes, okay. So Yasser asked a very interesting question: is what is or how the website look like? So, in my understanding, the website will start with what we call it URL, which is a domain name, and this is the address of a home or an address of a location. Okay, so here I am pointing out with this URL to a location. Then the CMS is the foundation where I will build my structure on it. So if my CMS is a WordPress, I will use what we call it themes, and themes will build to me a specific layout. So this will be the theme, which will build to me a specific layout. So how the front page will look like. When somebody click on this, how they will look like. So theme inside the WordPress, and I'll limit mine to WordPress because I exclusively use WordPress. I know how to use Joomla and Zoop and Zobi and others, but I exclusively talk about website in WordPress.
So URL is just pointing.
It's just the address.
So it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that there is already a building, just a location.
A location,
right?
yeah.
Is this the domain?
This is the domain name.
Right.
So
then the host is where I had the foundation.
this is the domain name.
Right.
And the host is where you have the foundation. So this is my host.
Okay.
What is the characteristic of the host? It can be shared space. It can be dedicated IP. It can be business unlimited hosting. It can have 2, 4, 16 core for speed. It can be cloud-based, which basically you have a mirrors in different locations around the world. So this is the host which define my foundation.
And all these versions is like, okay, are you gonna have a room in a house, or the house only for yourself?
We didn't talk
or-
about this yet.
No, I thought this is what you explained here.
No.
The sharing and
The sharing means you have a shared space with other websites.
yeah.
The dedicated server means you have your own server at their location. Nobody else is sharing the disk space.
Okay.
Dedicated IP address means you have a static IP address, or you can have dynamic IP address that can affiliate to your domain.
Oh, okay. Everything got its own price.
Away from, I'm not concerned with the price, because if I can design the system to generate revenue, I will talk about return of investment. Which one should I use? That's it. Any questions so far? Any questions so far?
But where does DIP stand for?
Internet protocol. IP address. IP address means internet protocol address.
And the D, dedicated.
Yeah, you can have a dedicated server. You can have
Business unit unlimited.
unlimited. Okay.
Right. So GoDaddy and all this is the host.
They provide. So you need to book, or need to register your URL, and they provide also hosting.
So not necessarily the same. So this could be some providers for the domain and some others for hosting.
Yes.
And some they do both.
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
Now, so the theme will describe the look of the website, the look and the feeling and how the website is structured. Then I may have some need for extra functionality. What is the most common functionality each one has an online program will have? The common functionality anyone has an online program requires,
Platform.
other than platform. Like if I have my foundation
Membership
i-
site?
membership site. So what is the most common things you will need? Some techniques or algorithms or programs to manage what a membership registration. That's right. So we call those. This will become here as function. We call them plugins. So plugins are functionalities to add to the website. Okay? For example, my theme or one of the common theme, each one is using it from me here, will require a piece to be able to collect email, address, phone, and message. So you have a collect form for people to send you feedback. We use a plugin, a common plugin called Form 7. So Form 7 is a common plugin. There's other plugins to collect forms as well. Now I can also have a map, like some of the themes I provided to you guys. It will have a map. So the map will use a plugin called Simple Map. There is also a Google Map where I can add Google Map location plugins. I can have a membership plugin. If I want to connect to another social media, or I want to manage an SEO, I will use something called Yoast plugin. Or there is also something called WP SEO. So these are different plugins, like different programs, different extensions you can add. Each one of them has advantage. Each one of them has disadvantage. Okay. So
Sorry, but at the end of the day, I'm from the very beginning, I'm limited with the capacity or the features or whatever the limitations of the foundation, which is the host I picked very beginning.
Yes, and if you collect the host, the reasonable plans will be like 40 gigabytes with 240,000 files on it.
No, it's not only the capacity, but like what we were discussing, previously, that if we pick Weebly, for example, it got its own limitation of what I'm gonna add as a functionality
Yes,
later on,
yes,
right?
yes.
So that's what I'm saying. So we're not really free to pick any of this. This would be
You are
driven-
free if you will use.
Right, exactly. And it gets less and less.
Yeah. So if you use the website space, you are free for that.
Right.
Okay. I didn't plan this to be part of the email. Okay. Just for your wonder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this is the plugins. Now, what we have to watch in these plugins, that some of these plugins may have a conflict with each other. So, for example, we know that some plugins, like there is a plugin somebody asked me to install on my website, which basically give me like a dashboard for Google Analytics. So this dashboard actually had a conflict with Sitemap and Form 7. So my Form 7 start to look interesting. And the way to debug these plugins is basically to disable them all if you can access the website. And then what you do, you enable one at a time. Nobody can tell you which one has which one. There are plugins like, remember Mike, we had the plugin on, if you have your phone, your website on the phone, the plugin will give you call now. That's right?
Yeah.
I installed another plugin to do an artificial intelligence like a chat bot. I installed another chat bot. So what I found is the chat bot will overlay over call now. However, if you click, you will evoke the call now, you will not evoke the chat bot. That's why I went back and I disabled the call now, and I have the chat bot on my phone now. So some of these plugins, if you are not a user or a common programmer, or you have been seeing it working together, some of these plugins may have conflict. And once they conflict with each other, it can actually screw up the whole website. It may just basically shut down your website. Now, there is also some fencing, like I may need to fence or to secure my website. So there is a plugin to secure the website from attackers. Okay. There is also an SSL service here where the foundation SSL where the foundation will be secured. So when you have this secure icon, which is a lock beside your URL, it means that this foundation is actually secure. Make sense?
That's why SSL certificates.
Yes. So the SSL
So once
certificate.
it says HTTPS.
Yes.
It
It means that the foundation itself has level of security. You can also install something called WP, which WordPress fence, and there is WP security, and there is so many of them. There is more than 1 million plugin I believe, or some maybe 4 million, but I know at least 1 million plugin on the WordPress repository, which is the official location to find these plugins. And the problem of these plugins, there is nobody checking their quality, and there is nobody selecting their coding. So the reason for me to come and say, okay, you know what, if you want to do the website, do it yourself, take this bunch of plugins, or let me install to you a bunch of plugins, because I know for a fact 95% of the time they will work together. I don't know if they update them, okay? There was another plugin which allows me, if I have my access through my phone, it will tell you that this website has a mobile app. So go to download the mobile app. This is one of these plugins. Make sense?
Yeah. So the LMS would be also another plugin.
The LMS could be, yeah, the LMS, at the end of the day, you cannot install any extension out being a plugin.
Right.
So the membership or the MLS, the LMS will be a plugin. But some of them, they will tell you The LMS will be a plugin which can be used exclusively under a specific extension. You cannot have your website and the LMS at the same time.
Wow.
So this is when you go to like academy.yourwebsite.com or like lessons.
Right.
The membership website will allow you to basically protect specific post or specific content to some people who have this privilege. So the membership website will have a much bigger or a much different view than LMS. LMS, you can track how many people have been accessing, who is there, you can give them homework, you can exchange with them, they may have a whiteboard or whatever. However, membership website, it has more flexibility, but it has, if you want to implement the same functionality, you have to get more plugins. So there is a balance. There is nothing say which one is better, which one is bad.
And if you like what we've been discussing now about having the tool or a framework to be web-based, this will be also part of the plugins. and
Everything is
features?
coming. Everything is coming. Okay.
Okay, so
Any questions so far? Okay. Now, what I will display on the theme or on the walls of my website, what will be displayed there? I will have text. That's right.
yeah,
I can have what?
images,
Images,
videos,
videos,
audio.
audio. What else? And hyperlinks.
Yeah.
That's right. And hyperlinks. Each one of you understand what hyperlinks means?
A link. I mean, it's just a link.
Hyperlink is an address to another.
When you click on the
What's
words,
Yeah,
that's the hyperlink. The hyperlink is the address that's below.
Take
where
you
it's gonna-
somewhere
where it's
else.
gonna take you.
Take you to a location. Okay? So these are the content which I will play. Now, each one of this content inside a WordPress domain can belong to post or page or product or few things also you can add. The foundation of WordPress is you have a page or a post. If you install a WooCommerce or any extra extension, you can also have testimonials. There are some plugins which will allow you to do testimonials as a standalone entity. So what is the main difference between a page and a post? Page usually is less dynamic, more static. So if I want to provide a static information that's it will not change on a regular basis,
Like
I will use
like an about us page or something like that.
about us page or a description of my program.
Right.
That's right. Yes, I can. If I do one program and one only program, I can do the whole program in pages. However, we always prefer to have it on post because the content might be dynamics. So about us, description of the company, description of the product, a piece of content which will not change over time that often.
Right.
What about posts? Posts will be something more dynamic. I can post every day. Okay? There are little differences or fundamental differences which you may not be really need to worry about it too much. However, because posts are more dynamic, usually you have a better organization for them, and you may have some plugins which will deal with the post as old data. So one of the common plugin I use called Revive, and what Revive will do, it will go back to old posts with different dates and update them to become new posts. So if you have like 400 posts over 365 days, it can go back on every single day and update the post and repost it as brand new posts. Make sense? Do I need this? I'll explain why I will need something like this in a few minutes. Okay? Any questions so far? Now, where will I host? So usually the text and images are hosted where? Within my foundation. What about audio and video?
With the theme?
Nope. So what is what is one of the characteristics of this foundation? The characteristic of the foundation is the bandwidth available. What does bandwidth means? Or traffic. What does mean bandwidth or traffic? If I understand this is as a house, and in front of the house I have a road here, what is the capacity of this road? Okay? Now, what is the problem of the video? What is the main problem of video? What is the main requirement of videos?
Video player.
The loop
Bandwidth.
Bandwidth, right? And not only bandwidth, you need to guarantee that the video will not flicker. How many of us will be on YouTube and suddenly the YouTube decided to reload part of the video and the video will be paused? That's right.
Yeah.
So if you host your videos on your own website, it's a good idea, but make sure that you have enough bandwidth for the videos. Okay? And it will become very pricey. That is why we use external places to host this video. So what is the common external place to host this video? YouTube, that's right. So I can have the YouTube. What else?
Video or video.
There is Vimeo. There is something called AWS. What's AWS?
Amazon Web Services.
Yes.
What?
Amazon Web Services.
Oh,
So as long as, as long as I can have access to this, I can cut the requirement for stability bandwidth and the high bandwidth from my website by hosting my videos on this, on one or many of these platforms. Then how I will bring my video to my website?
Hyperlink.
Either a hyperlink, or I can have a video player, or I can have a plugin for a video player.
Right.
Make sense?
Yep.
What about audio? Audio is very similar. You can have like Blueberry, or you can have Amazon website, and you'll have plugins. You can have a plugin here to connect between. So okay, what examples of audio players?
Websites, you mean? That can have
Yes.
only audios.
Yes.
Just a second.
What good example of a? You can go to the office, Michael.
Yep. Thanks.
What a good example of an audio player applications. You can have what we call it a podcast. So if you plan to have a podcast, it's a good example of an audio player. Overwhelmed or not yet?
No, no, it's clear.
Okay, any questions? Mariana, this is good to know?
Hmm?
Good to know?
Yep.
Okay, so the bunch of plugins here will be function of what? Of the functionality you need to add to your website. Okay, so the question we ask at the very beginning is, what's the goals for the website? So you said you need to have a presence and credibility, that's right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I have my URL here and I have my website here, so this URL is linked to my website. What does it mean, presence?
What does it mean?
Presence. I want the website for presence. What does it mean, presence? It means if somebody has the website, the URL, he will or she will be able to access the website.
Right.
What else mean presence?
Well, like we said before, authority.
No, what other ways of presence people like to see?
Somebody's searching.
So if somebody's searching, so if you know the URL, you can access it. If somebody's searching, what do you mean searching? Or searching on which keywords? So searching means the search engine will know the
URL.
website
Yeah.
and the URL and the content.
Mm.
So I will need to do what we call it search engine submission. So after I build my website, I need to do search engine submissions. How many search engines available around the world?
I guess many, but the popular ones is Google, Yahoo, Bing.
There's about 20,000 maybe search or so.
Yeah.
Okay. What other meaning of presence? What other meaning of presence?
Couldn't think of anything else. Like searching for a service, searching for a name, searching for specific words.
So yeah, you can search for service, for name, for location. You may also consider submission for directories.
What do you mean? Directories?
There are some directories, like formerly used to be known as Zero Pages. So for holistic people around the table, we have directories like your Holistic Earth, the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. For business people, you have like the Calgary Chamber of Commerce. There are northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest business directories.
Oh, so you're talking about specific bodies for specific professions that got directors for its members. So this can help as well.
It can help as well.
In the presence, okay. Gotcha.
You can also have directories and businesses as groups on social media. Okay? What else mean presence? So people can access pages somewhere else through a third-party pages somewhere else, and then they hit a link to my own website.
Right.
So a good example, classically, we used to have pulse on LinkedIn. You can write a pulse. A pulse is like an article. That's right. Currently, you can put a post on Facebook. That's right. You can share a post, publish a post on Facebook. And what you do at the end of the post,
Put in a link.
put in the link. So when people look at this information and this news, they can find you out. They can link to this particular website. What else can be covered under presence?
You mentioned the social media as part of directories as well. So
You can also have a presence or links to social media. Okay? So when people look at your service, they need to read more. Where they should go and read? On your own website. Make sense? So when we go back here and talk about presence, authority, credibility, we talk about the existing of a website. What about the functionality of attracting lead and managing contact? So if I want to attract leads, how will I attract leads?
ads.
How will I how will I collect leads? We say attract and generate leads. How will I generate leads?
I think what I could think of is having some advertisements.
And then what?
And then the advertisement will take you to the website where the visitor got to put their details.
Okay. So where do you put your details on a website? What's the name of these pages? Where you put your details on it? What's the name of it?
The whole page.
No.
Contact.
No, it's called
Contact us.
landing pages.
Or the landing page.
So landing page, it's a page defined by in 1997 or 1998 by Microsoft. That is a page on my website where it has only one functionality. There is only one push button on it. What this button will do? Will do a submit. And what you have here is an email. So when you collect landing pages information, you will have an email, or you can have also a name, you can have a phone number, you can have whatever information you want to collect.
Why?
That's right.
Yeah.
So how to establish a landing page on my website? It will be a page or a post, doesn't matter. The classic definition, it has no email, no menu, nothing. It has only one button, submission. We can also have landing forms, which basically on our website there will be a small form here, and this form here will ask you for your email in exchange of newsletter or download or knowing more. That's right. How often you can be on a website, on a page reading a blog, and suddenly you have a pop-up in front of you saying, do you like to subscribe? How often you can look at pages where when you close the page it will say, oh, before you leave, do you like to keep in contact? That's right. So how they implement this? Very simple way. they will have a plugin here, which is there is an app Sumo, and there's also Infusionsoft. There's a Mailchimp. There's few things. Now the question will be is, if I click submit here, where this email will go?
Database.
It can go to a database, or it can go as simple as what? It can come to me as an email. So on Form 7, you can do this, but Form 7 will send you an email. It will not go to a database. So if you have a database here collecting this information, so if I have a database here, what's the name of these databases, and what will I do with this email? So these databases can be Mailchimp, Constant Contact, SendShark, Infusionsoft, SendLane, any of these programs, which is a third-party programs. And what this program will do, will manage CRM. That's right. You can collect few hundreds and manage them by email through Form 7. So if somebody say, send me more information, you can have an email coming to you, and this email can send an auto-respondent. That's right, with the information. You can do that at no extra cost. You can do this on there's a Hub Suite. There are few things which it can be cost or not costing. Make sense?
Yep.
How also you can attract leads? Like we talk about landing pages, landing forms. What other forms of leads you can also attract or collect?
Surveys.
No, how you collect the information of leads.
Okay.
You can collect visiting IP. So
Is this in compliance with the Privacy Acts?
you can visiting IPs, and if this IP is linked to a social media profile, you can know. Now you will be able to know who is clicking on your website. You will not know it explicitly directly, but there is a way to know it. We call this how do we add this functionality to our website? What we use to add functionality?
A plugin.
A plugin. So we use this, what we call this Pixel plugin.
Well, this is not in breach to any
Nope.
privacy laws or data
Nope.
privacy or anything.
Nope.
Mhm.
If you have a Pixel plugin on your social media, where basically you link your website to your social media through the plugin, anybody is coming to visit your website will be tracked by the social media platform. You will not be able to access the profiles. There is actually only one something called Social 225 or something like this. But there's only maybe one or two tools who can give you the actual profile of the visitors. Everything else will be kept. So if you do an advertisement to retarget these people, the social media will know these people. So you may not have them explicit, but you are basically storing them with a third party, which is a Facebook management group or the Google. By the way, Google Plus is disappearing in August, so we'll not talk about it. But social media like LinkedIn, Facebook, and stuff like that, they have this capability where they will know from their traffic how many people went out to click on your website.
So is this because sometimes it just not sometimes, all the time, whenever I'm searching to buy a bag, for example, right, on Google, yeah, and then all of a sudden I just change my mind and that I start to do something else, and once I go to my Facebook or LinkedIn or anywhere, I start to see only advertisement of a bag.
I will explain this. I will explain this exactly how it works and how we can take advantage of it.
Right.
But at this point, I want to just highlight the following: is you can generate leads for people who come to visit your website by explicitly collecting their information,
right,
or by installing a plugin called Pixel, configure the Pixel plugin, then any traffic coming from this website, from the social media to your website, the social media will record it. You are basically giving an access to the Facebook plugin or the Facebook kernel to track who is clicking and coming to your pixel.
Right. So all this is just generating leads from my website. It's not additional strategies to that.
There is no additional strategies. You can only generate leads on your website.
No, the one that I mentioned now about by only searching all of a sudden some websites.
I will explain this, but I'll explain this in a specific sequence.
Okay. It's not here.
But he is not here yet. So when we come back and say, here and say, I want to attract and generate lead, this is the 3 ways you can use to attract to generate lead. You can create landing pages, you can have a landing forms, or you can actually use implicit Pixel plugin to know who collected what.
Right.
Any questions? Make sense? Now, what was the third one? Selling. So, if I wanna sell from my website, what will I need? If I want to add a functionality, what I use plugin. So if I want to sell on my website, what will I need?
E-commerce plugin.
I need an e-commerce plugin. And in the e-commerce plugin, what should I look for in the e-commerce plugin? The e-commerce plugin will show you products, which can be services, but it will list the products. Then it will connect to a merchant account. Then it will follow on shipping. So what is a good example of e-commerce plugin? WooCommerce, Shopify. What else?
PayPal.
No, PayPal is here. Stripe is here. That's right. So the merchant account.
Why would you put Shopify under there? Shopify's a merchant account.
Yeah, but Shopify also show you products.
Okay.
So Shopify, I can put it here. So Shopify is a platform which has its own. There is also Eventbrite. That's right.
Yep.
There is all of those. Which one is more suitable for me? There is also Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft, I can send a link to hosts. Which one is more appropriate for me?
What's your product?
Based on how many products. So if you are selling a few products, you can use WooCommerce, you can use Infusionsoft. If you are selling more products, you may have to go through a much bigger like Shopify, or because WooCommerce will be very expensive to maintain. Okay? How can I connect to shipping? I can create UPS label. I can send by email first, that's right? I can deliver by email. I will buy an ebook. What you'll do? You will send it to me by email.
Yeah.
I can also create UPS labels if I want to do shipping, or I can just notify. Actually, Amazon is one of the e-commerce platform I can use.
Wait a minute, let's throw eBay in there too then.
eBay is too as well. Okay. Any questions? So if you want to sell, nowadays WooCommerce has started to have a free offer. So WooCommerce can give you a free basket. Last year it was expensive.
Was it? How much?
Right now it's free.
How much was it?
I believe it was like $20 to $100 a month initial offering.
Really?
Right now it's free. However, if you want to track people who did not see the products, if you want to track people who did not pay, you will pay more money. So the basic WooCommerce is free, but there are some additions to it. Like if you wanna sell tickets on WooCommerce, you have to subscribe for the premium. If you wanna do specific, if you wanna make it a much fancier layout, you will need to have you need to pay premium. So one recommendation here is when you look at the house here, you may consider the theme to be WooCommerce compliant. So all the themes I made it available, they are WooCommerce compliant. Not all the themes they are WooCommerce compliant. Make sense? So not all the themes are WooCommerce compliant. There's only specific themes which is WooCommerce compliant. Any questions so far? Is this useful information? Okay. We did not talk here how to promote the product. So if you have a product, how you promote it. You need to have fancy images, you need to have words, you need to have videos. We did not talk about this for now. That's right. Now, what is the third functionality of the website? Delivery platform. That's right. So if my website I want to make it as delivery platform, how can I do this? I can do it in different ways. I can do it using membership plugin or connecting to LMS platforms. Examples for the LMS platforms is Access Alley, is Thinkific, Kajabi, make sense? The membership could be two ways. One is connecting to my CRM, and one is independent. So WP membership is independent. IM 360 and Memberium, these two will connect to Infusionsoft. Thinkific and Kajabi and Access Alley will connect to Infusionsoft as one of the many CRMs they connect to. The average price for a platform which will connect to one of these delivery platform will be about $1,000 a year. If you use WP membership, or use the other one, which is, I don't know, there is another one which is $200 a year, which is Shamir is using it. This is one. This one it has a free version, so it's $0. So the one which Shamir is using, it's called PM Pro or Membership Pro. This is the one he's using. These ones will not necessarily connect to a CRM. It can be standalone. Standalone means what? I will disconnect my customers from my CRM. Because standalone means I have a duplication. I duplicate.
So it's a website?
It's what?
It's a website? Is it a standalone website?
No, the data of the buyers will be standalone, will be duplicated.
Okay.
So when I use membership 360 or Memberium, I will get the communication from the membership to Infusionsoft.
Right.
If I use WP membership, simple membership for WordPress, everything will be stored locally in my WordPress, which means I may need a tool from here to connect to my website, or I can still live with it. So I lived with it for so long. So if you have 20 to 50 members, you can always start with no cost. The minute you start to, I'm not sure how do you manage your members, but if you will sell and then your member will come automatically, you will need to consider it's about $1,000 a year investment. Maybe 700, maybe 1,200, it's about $1,000 a year. So Access Alley, Thinkific. Access Alley, it's a very interesting tool because it's a plugin to WordPress. However, they recommend to be on a subdomain of your WordPress. It does not be individual inside your WordPress.
A subdomain of the WordPress.
Yes.
Okay.
A subdomain additional to the WordPress. So you need to have two WordPresses, one for the subdomain and one for your main website. Native WordPress will collect data and will allow people to sign up, because native WordPress will allow you to do administration, will allow you to be an author, will allow you to be an editor, will allow you to be a subscriber.
So which one is doing this?
This is the WordPress.
For the WordPress.
So under WordPress, I can do collaborative registrations, right? So I can ask you to register to be a subscriber, or I can escalate you to be an author or an editor or whatever, right? So creating a parallel structure for people who can access different components of my website, it can be done with the WordPress membership. Where the contact of this information exists? Where the contact information of these people exists and stored?
In WordPress.
In WordPress. How much can you do it? Can you do it on WordPress of marketing? Not much. You cannot have campaign. You cannot have an email flow. You can even send all of them information. So there is a limited level of marketing. But the basic WordPress can collect name, email, and they can present you with information so you can update your own membership. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So the following things is,
Do we want to take a 5-minute break?
yeah, we can. Okay, let's just have 5 minutes.
Copyright 2017 Win Your Brand. All rights reserved. This video is subject to copyright owned by Win Your Brand. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this video is expressly prohibited, unless Win Your Brand has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.